folks, so I'm out here in the greenhouse and I'm going to get this bed of lettuce here. This will be my third week of lettuce mix and my third succession of lettuce out in the garden. It had problems growing in its soil blocks, as you may recall, so it is late. So this is my backup, and I've got a lot of red here, and I've got 1 tub of green reserved, so that'll work out just fine. So yes, that is the plan. I'm doing this before, I think the sun is maybe supposed to pop out this afternoon. Just a close-up of what I've got going on here. This is a bed of Salanova lettuce. It just happened to be mostly red. I used some old seed. I didn't know quite what it was. And I do have a few green in here, quite big. And then my 2 next successions of Salanova lettuce that need to go out into the garden. This is the 5th, and this is crazy because somehow I accidentally planted all green. And then I've got my 6th succession. And so, which is red and green. Yeah, so this needs to be planted out. It probably could have gone out last week, but I'm gonna get it out this week. Okay, so I've got the middle and a few from the front, and that's my first tub. I got the rest of them a little bit smaller heads, so 1 more tub. Okay, my 4 successions of Salanova lettuce are planted in here. This is where the 5th and the 6th will go. Right now I've got a bunch of spinach in here, which is ready to pick. I think since it's not sunny or rainy, I should just get it right now. So this is about the right size leaf, maybe a little bit big. But I realized that it does just kind of grow up tall like that. Just the nature of this plant, which I guess is kind of nice. It stands up above the soil. So anyway, cut. Okay, I've got the whole bed and I was able to get it into 1 tub. It's pretty wet leaf, so it's probably gonna weigh a little bit. Okay, what am I doing, people? I've got the 3 rows of spinach here, and I think I'm just gonna leave them and see how they grow back. There's probably a bunch of like half-cut leaves, but we'll see. I just gridded this out. I just moved the hoops, you know, kind of just jabbed them in the other side. And then I gridded it out with the 4-row gritter. And I'm gonna plant this green, all green. I watered them in because the soil blocks were a little bit dry. I normally, you know, bottom water the soil blocks before I'm gonna transplant, but I didn't plan on transplanting. The soil's pretty moist. I've got 120 here in this half bed, 20 feet. Everybody covered here. So I guess next week I'll plant the 6th batch of Salanova lettuce. Then I'll have all 3 beds of Salanova planted. I'm gonna move the basil from the house lights to the greenhouse tables. This is Big Deer with the horns. Well, he's not Big Deer, he's Boy Deer. And this is probably his sister sitting in the potato patch. Next week, the plan is to harvest this bed of lettuce. Then I'm just gonna yank all the lettuce out because then the basil is gonna go into both of these beds. And so, kind of like the basil to get used to the different temperature and lighting out here. So they're gonna stay here for the first time tonight. I wouldn't mind if the growth slowed down just a little bit. 62 in here and 72 up the house, so maybe that'll help. I pulled that last batch of lettuce from the greenhouse and put it on the table out here, just so it can get used to the temperature out here since it's going to be planted out into the garden next week. Okay, so last week my chard bed was finally ready to harvest. I pulled off the smaller hoops and replaced it with the bigger hoops and netting, and noticed that the Undersown Microclover was overtaken by a flowering weed. So I've got kind of noodle arms today, and so I'm gonna go ahead and spend the day cleaning up the weeds, cutting back the clover and getting whatever slugs I can get. This is quite a mess. I think I might get a mask so I don't huff this pollen while I'm trying to clean up this mess. This is what we've got all cleaned up. I had to prune the leaves pretty hard because they were just like dangling in the clover. So I'm probably not going to sell any this week. I'm just going to let these guys recover. So I was thinking that the microclover might not grow as tall as the New Zealand white clover that I've been undersowing with the greens in the past. But it's still tall enough to smother the chard. So I don't know what I'll do in the future. What I normally do next is I either let the clover grow back and do a second cut, or I throw down bin boards, or I always eventually throw down bin boards. And then that gives the slugs a place to hide and I can capture them. I went ahead and grabbed the bin boards from the composting bins and just lined them up down here. I figure I'll get them wet later on, or maybe it'll rain and help me out. Alrighty, done for now. I'm gonna need to cut back the clover in both these greens beds too when I have a chance, but it's not quite as critical since they stand pretty tall. I'm noticing my mustard greens are starting to flower, so they're not gonna last much longer. I need to think about what I want to do in this little spot that I have right there. 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's already light out. It doesn't get very dark for very long this time of year. I've got the water on, the drip going into the greenhouses. I've got a couple more days where the sun's supposed to pop out, and the soil's kind of dry. What is going on here? I have 3 freezers. So you may recall that a couple weeks ago, that far freezer finally died, and the last couple weeks I've been running ice in it, and the plan was to order a new freezer and replace this, and then I'd have 2 freezers converted to refrigerators. You know, it's been nice to have the space to harvest greens the day before I sell on Friday. And so I was kind of like, oh, it's going to be such a bummer when I don't have enough space to, you know, when I'm harvesting carrots and basil and sugar snap peas and potatoes. So Tyler said, you know, why don't we just use all of them? You can run ice in that one that's broken, and we'll just have the temperature controllers running these 2 freezers. And so we set up this platform for this new guy, and I just hooked up the temperature controllers, and so now I have 3 refrigerators. I'm kind of embarrassed. I was supposed to get my downstairs walk-in cooler ready by this season, but I didn't. And so I mean, maybe that was expecting a lot to get the rock out of there and then get it completely completed by this season, but I didn't even get all the rock out. So maybe this winter I'll get a better start. But anyway, this will make life so much easier to have these 3 refrigerators running for the season. You know, when I have carrots and stuff, and gosh, when potatoes come out, and ew. So I don't have any orach in here this week. I've just got the red tabby spinach and the red and green Salanova, but boy, that's awfully pretty. I was just checking around in the garden. Look at this. Peas are starting. I wonder how much longer it's gonna be before I have sugar snap peas to sell. Basil greenhouse. I seeded orach last week,
at the bed ends in here, and the little guys are popping up. Hi. Oh, looks like I might have some radishes popping up too. Those are for the slugs. My next basil greenhouse, and I clipped the biggest leaves off the zucchini squash so I could walk through here. And look what we got here. My first pansy flower. Beautiful sunny day. Taking a look at my herb patch here. Parsley's coming along nicely. Just needs a little bit more time before I can do a little harvest. I planted all of these right before 3 weeks of gloomy cold weather, and the cilantro immediately bolted to seed because it's kind of shading things out. I think I'm just gonna clip all these back. There's no hope for them, though, I don't think. I wonder if I tried starting cilantro now, if it would do better. Maybe I should do a little experiment. I don't know when to cut dill. I guess I'll learn. I got the clover cut underneath the chard, and I'm going to cut underneath these 2 beds of greens next. From the base of the clover to the top, it's about 8 inches. I don't know, I was imagining that it would be much shorter. Okay, I'm done with this bed. Oy. Can you see all the clover gone? And now I've got to get this bed. I had to get these collard greens out of the way so I'd have space to be able to cut back clover. Had to clear out some kale before I could get to the clover in that patch. Okay, and I got this one done. Wow. That was a job. Part of this is, I had to get all the weeds from the edges and everything, because we had like 3 weeks of just rain back early spring, and I couldn't get out here and weed, and then they just kind of took over. So, got bin boards underneath these 2 beds. My fear is always that once I get rid of the clover, which the slugs like to eat, then they're just going to go right up into the plants. So anyway, I hope I can catch some slugs. Okay, so I have 4 tubs, so that's 32 bags plus my 3-pound bag for the restaurant. Mint, just a little over a ½ ounce. Early orders, I've got 2 mustard, 5 kale, 3 collard greens, 7 green onions for early orders. Okay, 9 more green onions. 2 of the total are gonna be for me. Look at these beauties. Beauties. 9 more green onions. 5 more collard greens. 6 more bunches of kale. Okay, and I have 6 extra bunches. And so I've got these extras, which will be good because I might have some people that placed an order that, you know, didn't go through, and or people showed up because, you know, they forgot to order. Anyway, if these don't sell, I can always keep them for myself. I'm about ready to park the truck and sell. And Mom and Popcorn and Fuzzy are playing King of the Mountain. Oh, I hope I don't scare them too much. Hi, little babies. What you doing? Okay, folks, ready to sell again. This is the last week in the month of June. Okay, dudes, done selling. I had a lot of extra folks come in, so that's awesome. And I have
6 bags of lettuce mix left. We use 4 in a week, so that's 2 extra, which is not bad. And then I've got 4 kale for me and a couple of green onions for us. Yay. No reason why I can't come out to my own garden and get the first bunch of garlic scapes for us for pasta night, because these guys are starting to curl. I didn't want to sell them this week because some of them are a little bit small still, like this one right here, right? But yeah, I'm gonna get a bunch of garlic scapes for our pasta sauce.
I guess that's it for now. I'm relaxing my noodle arms today. I'll see you guys next week.
There's a bee busy inside that flower. Oh, they just tuck themselves inside the flower.